My first set of questions are about social networking sites. Now, I know you're on Facebook. Do you use any others?
No.
Just Facebook. What do you actually use Facebook for? What sort of purpose?
Just campaigning and spreading truth and love.
Yeah, just that. That's a big just, isn't it? That's lovely.
Yeah.
Would you say that Facebook or social networking sites are having an influence on the way the world is going these days?
Absolutely. I believe that social networking sites such as Facebook started the Arab Spring, and it started and kick-started revolution around the world, because people in freer countries like ours, I won't say completely free, but freer countries like ours are connecting with people in Iran and in the Middle East, and they're seeing the way we live and they want that too. So it's spreading the hunger for freedom all around the world.
No. Cool. And would you say that social networking sites are a good thing or a bad thing?
They are definitely a good thing, but we don't let our children use them. We have two daughters, 11 and 14, and we keep them off them because for children they can be dangerous, because children are children and they fight and bicker, and it can become a negative. But for what I use them for spreading truth and peace and love and justice, they are definitely a force for good.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, Facebook. One Vibration. The Intention Experiment. That's about it. Might be a couple more. Oh, heart math as well.
What do you generally use social networking sites for? In what way?
In what way? To collect information, to get my news, due to the fact that I no longer trust the mainstream media, or the BBC, or Al Jazeera. RT I get my news from via YouTube and Facebook, and One Vibration. It's to communicate with others of like mind, to communicate with my offspring and family, and to collect the news and spread ideas worth spreading.
Would you say that social networking sites are having an influence on the way the world is heading?
Yes. Yes, without doubt. I would say that. Given as well what's happening now in Facebook is a lot of censoring. What's happening in TED Talks, which I value highly. There's a lot of censoring happening quietly. So if they're censoring it, that means that it's working.
Indeed.
And as well that the amount of people who come together globally to say no to certain things is growing and is actually working, which is amazing. Well, except for what's his name. Anyway, yeah. In general, yes.
So overall, would you say social networking sites are a good thing or a bad thing?
I wouldn't say neither, because it depends. It depends on the individual as to what they're looking for. I wouldn't judge, because it's both. It can be both. And I think discrimination above all else needs to be put in place. And whether you vibrate with it or not, I guess that one is the big one, whether I resonate with whatever information or idea that comes out of that, which I obviously judge as a good thing for me. However, yeah, it depends on where you're sitting and what's happening, but I reserve judgment, or there is no judgment, it just is what it is. And you use it however you use it.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm on Facebook, email, I'm all over the world.
So, what do you actually use Facebook for?
I actually keep contact with the public and my comrades. I run pensioners action groups.
Do you?
I've got one in Cambridge, one in Hertfordshire, one in Essex, and I belong to the Greater London Pensioners in London.
And you use Facebook?
And I make my contacts and they keep in touch with me. And when I'm doing things, if I'm sitting in the road holding the traffic up, they like that. It actually shows that we're there for the fight. We're not there to talk to people and agree with everything they do.
So do you feel that Facebook is having an effect on the way the world is?
Facebook is sometimes good and sometimes it's a bit rubbish. So you've got to take the good with the smooth and use what you can. And I think it's a good idea really, because when you go back over the years, you used to have to phone everybody up or write to everybody, and it's a really easy way to make contact. So we've got to go with the world the way it is.
Yeah. Thank you.
I basically use Twitter because it's so simple. It's much simpler than Facebook. And whereas I think with Facebook you have to have friends who follow you. On Twitter it's pretty much open to everyone. So I find it much more accessible.
Yeah, I actually have my Facebook open to everyone.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. To me, Facebook appears like a lot of work, whereas Twitter is no work. Twitter is just like a conversation. I'm having a conversation with you. Basically, there's a conversation going on Twitter. It's like a party. You're at a party. People are not actually in the same room. You can listen to these people. You know, and it could be famous people, could be people like Stephen Fry, whatever. You can butt in and say things if you like, or you can just listen. So it's like being at a large party. I think people get hung up on Twitter, and the technology is irrelevant. It's simply, you know, it's just a way of talking. It's a conversation.
Do you feel that social networking is having an effect on the way the world is going?
Well, it's certainly had an effect in the Middle East. You know, I mean, governments were toppled. I mean, what's happening there is still playing out, but it had an effect. I mean, I live in hope that something similar could happen in England, in Britain, really, because our media is regurgitating government propaganda, including the BBC, which is disgraceful. And really, social media seems to be the only way that people can discuss what's really happening in our country, particularly the abolition of the NHS, which has never been mentioned by our tax-funded broadcaster, the BBC.
Yes, Facebook.
Just Facebook. In what way do you use it? What do you use Facebook for?
What do I use it for? Connecting with other people, mainly that aren't around myself, that aren't close. I mean, it's great for connecting with you since you've moved away now. I have friends in different countries who otherwise I wouldn't speak to. So it's good in that way. I also like to hear other people's opinions, and I like to hear news that is otherwise not put in the media. It's good to know actually what's going on in the world, and I wouldn't get to know about those things otherwise.
Cool. So would you say that social networking sites are having an effect on the way the world is going, you know, the world is being influenced?
Yes, it is. It's having a major effect on how people talk to each other, in positive and negative ways. There's a lot of cyberbullying that goes on, especially within the younger community, but definitely in the way that people that I know that live far away, such as in the USA or in Australia, I wouldn't speak to otherwise. And it's actually really nice to hear what other people have to say in different countries, and to know that they're not so different as to what I am.
Cool. So overall, would you say social network sites are a good thing or a bad thing?
In my opinion, for me, it's a good thing. So yes, it's a good thing. It's good to talk.
Well, that'd make a good slogan. Now, I know you're on Facebook, because we're Facebook friends. Do you use any other social networking sites?
No.
Twitter?
No, not on Twitter.
No. What do you actually use Facebook for? What place does it have in your life?
A new place. Because it's quite recently that I've signed up to it. And I signed up to probably put things about myself on there. Because taking up making music. And I thought I'd be able to put pictures and, you know, gigs and whatever and things I might be doing.
Yeah.
And which I have done. But that's the lesser part of it, because I find myself very fortunate in the article of Facebook Friends, because I just get extraordinary streams of information. Information that I wouldn't get from anywhere else. Paolo's committed left-wing activist, and I get streams of like, left-wing stuff coming through from him, interest in politics that I'm really interested in. And his father had to run away from Pinochet's Chile to avoid being killed.
Really?
You know, so like, you know, he's quite fiery about the evils of the right wing. And I'm only too happy to help and support him in his ventures. So I get that's a major stream, and then through Drusilla I get all sorts of off-the-wall hippie stuff and other left-wing stuff and jokes and all sorts of bits of wisdom and quotations and all sorts. And then I've got another friend, Lurker, who digs up all sorts of odd bits and pieces. There's lots of humour as well. And that's three major streams that come through that provide me with knowledge and entertainment that I wouldn't have got from anywhere else. There's all this stuff being shared, and a lot of it is, you know, yes, witty and wise and sensible. And I suppose where it's coming through from people I know, it's going to be up my street, because those people are up my street, because, you know, you've already made your choices in life. But that's a major thing. Plus, I've been making some contacts musically. I've signed up to 2 local pubs that are venues, music venues, so I know what's on all the time. Just go and turn my computer on and I know what's on at the Bird's Nest, I know what's on at the Duke.
Do you think that that social networking is actually having an effect on the way the world is going?
I think it's having an enormous effect. Because like I say, all that information doesn't come through the BBC, it doesn't come through the mainstream media at all. And people can communicate so much more efficiently, directly. And I hope so. You know, the Arab Spring evidently was organised on Facebook and Twitter. So yes, that's some effect, isn't it?
So does that mean that, like me, you think it's a good thing that social networking is?
Yes, I do think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
A bit concerned on the facelessness of the Facebook people, you know, who runs it, how much information is being kept.
Yeah.
I know that Google, for example, keep every single search. Every time you type something into the Google search engine, Google stores it. And the amount of information floating about on the internet enabled a group in America to correctly predict the outcome of every single election in the states, over 50 states, just from like working out what people in the states were like because of the profile that comes out of their purchases, interests, you know, what the stuff they get up on the internet, which is a little bit disturbing because that level of information can be manipulated if you've got access to it. It's probably more powerful than a fleet of B-52s. You know, you could do more damage with it if you wanted to. So and where so very few people, like Google's got, you know, got a massive part in it, the internet world stitched up, and Facebook has got another massive part. You know, what monitoring programs you could have causes me a bit of concern. But
I know you're on Facebook, because we're Facebook friends as well as being old friends. Are you on any other social networking sites? Do you use more?
I've been on Twitter, although I don't really use it very much, but more recently I've joined Google Plus, which is different to Facebook, but it's more useful for me when for my photography, really. I get more feedback in a way.
Yeah.
More instant feedback, whereas Facebook's got so many other distractions or other sort of interests on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas you can specify more on Google Plus.
Yeah, cool. I'll have to look into that. Would you say that social networking sites are having an influence on the way the world is going?
I'd say definitely, yeah. Yeah, I think people are... Well, I use it, definitely. I use it to keep... I've signed more petitions since I've been on Facebook than I've ever done before in my life. I feel like it keeps me in touch with people who have similar interests, you know, and keeps me up to date with what's going on in those areas of concern, particularly politics. Yeah, I think it mobilises people and keeps people informed in a way that before we'd have to become aware how biased and in the pockets of the elite, the news, well, they're owned by millionaires, all of them anyway. So, yeah, there's more scope really for people to put their point of view.
Cool. So overall, would you say that social networking sites are a good thing or a bad thing?
On the whole, a good thing. A lot of things I could moan about, but honestly, I do find I feel reassured at how many people are like-minded from it. I am almost so aware that from some of my friends that not everybody is lucky enough to have politically active, interested, compassionate people. That's my son walking in.
That's okay. I go for the real.
Hello. You can't see me.
I'm in an interview at the moment.
Oh shit.
And all that'll get left in. No, I am going for the real.
Yeah, cool. But the point I wanted to make was that I'm sort of more recently aware that about 90% of people who use, say, Facebook only really use it to post pictures of their family and look at pictures of kittens, and they're not terribly interested in the politics at all, which is a bit disheartening sometimes. But I'm glad there's plenty of people out there like myself and yourself that that isn't our main reason for using social networking.
Cool. Thank you.
No, just Facebook.
Just Facebook. What do you use Facebook for?
Ultimately, I suppose communication between friends, obviously present friends and friends from the past.
Yeah.
I find Facebook a great way of keeping in touch with people that you wouldn't normally keep in touch with. For instance, one of my friends that I went to primary school with just had a third baby girl, which is nice to hear, and if it wasn't for Facebook I wouldn't have heard about that sort of thing. So I love just the communication aspect of it, you know, the passing on of theories. Recently been getting into permaculture and aquaponics, things like that, and obviously Facebook's a great way of sharing that sort of information.
Yeah. Would you say that social networking sites, well, in your case Facebook, is having an influence on the way the world is?
Absolutely, without doubt. draconian measures of yesteryear with the manipulation of media, and that is much more difficult to do now, that people are actually sharing their own information as opposed to reading information that are pumped down their throats. So I think the likes of me and you passing information between us is much more effective than us going to Mr. Maxwell and saying, there you go, Mr. Maxwell, there's 50p, what can you tell us?
Yeah, good way of putting it. So on the whole, would you say that social networking sites are a good thing or a bad thing?
Pros and cons, really. Same with everything. There's good and bad sides to people, good and bad sides to the web. There's obviously good and bad sides to Facebook. Obviously there's a lot of bullying goes on and that sort of thing, but I think the good stuff outweighs the bad stuff, ultimately. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Cool. I'm on Twitter, but I don't use it very much. I'm not very good at tweeting. I never quite got it, although I did promise the guy who I filmed at the lobby, NHS lobby, that I would have a look, that I would, what is it you call it, start following him. So I will, Marcus, honestly. And I'm on Facebook. Yes, I'm on Facebook quite a lot.
Cool. And what do you use them for?
Very much for information sharing. You know, either me getting information or sharing it. Also for sharing loveliness and positivity, and for connecting with friends. I've actually reconnected with people that I haven't seen for sort of, in one case, I think about 20 odd years.
Wow.
In fact, more than that, since our Thruffham days, and we moved from there in, I think, 1979.
Wow.
Yeah. That doesn't look like it's pointing at my face.
Well, it's you're on the top of the frame, actually.
Yeah.
But it looks nice.
Okay, shut up.
I was going to come in nicely with that question then, but it doesn't matter now. Do you feel that social network sites have an effect on how the world is?
Yes, I do. I think it's a very, very powerful tool. But potentially even more powerful. It certainly, like in Egypt, Twitter, I think Twitter maybe had more of an effect than Facebook then, but it does let people who are feeling disadvantaged, it does let them know, I know this because people message me and say thank you, it does let people know that they are being heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, I do, I know what the last question is.
Is this a good or bad thing?
I think it's an excellent thing. I love Facebook, and I know that those who love Twitter love it very much. I know that you're on Facebook, because we're Facebook friends, actually how I got to know you. Thank you, Facebook. So are you on any other networking sites, social networking sites? No. What do you actually use Facebook for?
I started off using it just because everyone else did and said, oh, you've got to get on this. And then I hated it for ages, and it was useless, I thought. And then you popped up, and then it sort of got a bit mental.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Well, now it's like social commentary now, isn't it? It's sort of like getting your point across and getting all these issues now, which I never did before. In a way, I think it's probably a bit scared to do it. Sort of really show what you really like and tell people what you really like. But now it's like, yeah, there you go, that's me. And then, it could be quite dangerous in a way. That's always the thing in the background, the scary bit. What if they come and get you?
Would you say that social networking sites are having an influence on the way the world is going?
Well, bloody hope so. It's well, it's great, you know, to be able to sort of share loads of different things. Well, like-minded people is usually your friends anyway, so they're probably more likely to be the same sort of way of thinking as you are, or I am, my friends, for instance. So you sort of you share a lot of the same ideas, but then you link up with a lot more people. It spreads out a lot. Things seem to dissipate really quickly, and all sorts of ideas and different things come in. But also it gives me a lot of information as well, I think. You know, you get a lot of other people's ideas coming in, and it's like, wow, I didn't know that, and I didn't know this, and it just sort of, yeah, it builds up into quite a good way of connecting people to new information, interesting information.
So overall, would you say that it's a good thing, social networking sites?
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, you just sat in a pub now and again, well, when I used to go to pubs, or when people come around your house, or you know, you meet at work or wherever you meet people, and you have little chats. But now you're connected to all over the world. So I talk to people all over the world. It's great.
Yeah.
Yes, but not on them a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do use?
I use Facebook, and I don't know if you would call Reverb Nation a social network, but there's messaging and stuff between people, so I use that one a little bit again.
Would you say that social networks are having an effect on the way the world is going, you know, the direction of things?
I would say yes, but I haven't really been spending a lot of time on there again recently, but definitely it's a way of getting more points of view of things that are happening in the world rather than just the mainstream. So I would say that, yeah, they have well, I could say it could have a positive and a negative.
Bye-bye, darling.
Night, night. Edit that out.
Come on, bye-bye.
Yeah, because I found that when I first started getting into Facebook, it was having a negative effect on me because I was only looking at videos that were aimed at creating a negative thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So would you say they're a good thing or a bad thing because of the effect?
Well, I went through the sort of dark side and then into a lighter side of it, so I think that's I don't know if everybody has that same experience, but for me it was I'd say it was good because I learned some things that I needed, that I sort of already knew, but that reaffirmed what I thought I knew, sort of thing.
Which one?
Facebook.
Yeah.
I also post some poetry on a poetry workshop-y site on the internet occasionally called Neo Poet too. I once had a Twitter account, but it's I never used it. So.
Yeah. So what do you actually use those sites, principally Facebook, I suppose? What do you use it for?
What do I use Facebook for?
Yeah, in what way do you?
Posting photos, sometimes of my children, so that their grandmother, who we're not living near, can see them and see what we're up to, and posting my poetry sometimes. Also connecting with people all around the world who are coming from a similar place to me, I suppose. I've met tons of people through Facebook, that big, open-hearted, wonderful people, and it seems to allow us to find each other in, you know, whereas previously we wouldn't have been able to, you know, without jumping on a plane and, you know, going to India or Australia or America or wherever. You know, I've got friends in all those places now, you know, close friends, people that I consider, you know, very wonderful people, even though I haven't ever met them in person. That's what I get out of Facebook.
Cool. So would you say that social networking sites are having an effect on the way the world is going?
Yes, I think they totally contribute to a real improvement in global consciousness completely, and that they help to bring information to people. They help people that perhaps would be sitting at home feeling not very courageous about how they were living their life or what they wanted to do with their lives, and they find other people who are doing similar things, and it gives them courage, and it enables them to go out into their community and go out into their lives and live more openly and more lovingly than they might have previously been able to, maybe.
Yeah, so presumably you think they're a good thing.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like anything, they could be used in wonderful ways and in not so wonderful ways, but I tend to try and focus on the more wonderful ways.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Here we are. I've got a slide over here to show you. We're near Bristol Suspension Bridge, hence the noise, but it's very lovely out here. So Alex, my first question is, are you on any social networking sites?
Yes.
Want to tell us which ones?
Facebook. I used to use other ones, but I don't really bother.
You might need to make sure you project.
I used to use other ones, but I don't really bother anymore. So it's just Facebook, really.
Yeah, okay. So what do you actually use Facebook for? In what way do you use it?
Kind of keep in touch with what other people are up to, kind of like people news. So I scroll down the news feed, and when I say people news, it's like what people have been up to, what people have got to say about the day, but also things that people have stumbled upon and other news issues that aren't necessarily in the mainstream media that are being shared. And one thing I find very interesting is how sometimes you can go on there on a certain day and you can have friends, say one person in Australia, another person in America, another person in England, and they've all ended up saying pretty much the same thing. And it kind of, what I like is it's a great reflection of the connection between all human beings, how very different people but only vaguely connected can suddenly be discussing the same issues on the same day at the same time.
Because an idea has its time.
Yeah.
Would you say that social networking sites are having an effect on the way the world is going? Or is?
Yeah, I mean, for one of the basic laws of, or which ones was it? I think it's basic laws, I can't remember. It's for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so, for people doing stuff on web, it definitely changes the way people act. I mean, the first thing that springs to mind is when people go out socialising and drinking, how much time they spend taking photos of them having a good time so they can then post on Facebook, hey, here's me with a social life with lots of my friends having a good time. And it actually ruins a lot of the social occasions, because what you end up with is lots of not particularly great social occasions with lots of pictures, but all of the best social occasions, I can pretty much guarantee hardly anyone took a picture because they were so busy having a good time.
Okay, so would you say that social networking sites are a good thing? Or a bad thing?
I would say that, like all things in life, it's like saying, would you say technology is a good thing? I'd say there's good and bad in all of it, and it's down to how people use it and what they use it for. One thing I find worrying about social networking is that it turns into personal PR, and this is the image of me that I wish to convey to the world, rather than people filter things too much. And one thing that upsets me is I tend to share if anything controversial that I find I'd rather know about. I tend to share with my friends, and I know that some of this stuff is quite shocking, and I talk to my friends about, did you see such and such thing I linked? And they're like, yeah, I saw that, that's crazy. And I was like, did you think not to share it with your other friends who don't know me so they too can read about it? And they're like, yeah, but they either give two responses. One, I didn't want to make my wall look messy, or two, I didn't want to look a little bit crazy. And it's like, well, a lot of the world is a little bit crazy at the moment, and sometimes you have to risk looking a little bit personally crazy in order to share and discuss the status quo of the world to make it better.
Thank you.